Around and introducing yourselves.
I'm Israel Clark. I lived in McCreary County all my life, and my dad and mom, Deborah and Bonnie Clark, they're deceased. And like I said, I've been here all my life, and I've seen a lot of things go on, but I'm wanting to help. So I'm glad to say I'm a Christian, have faith in Jesus Christ, and that's the most thing. That's even why I'm even here today, is because of him. So I'd like to help the citizens in McCreary County.
My name is Roger Phillips. I'm currently serving as Magistrate District 2. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm a lifelong resident of McCreary County. My wife is Chrissy Kidd Phillips. I got 2 kids, Taylor and Trey. I have over 650 hours of Department of Local Government training, and I'd encourage y'all to vote for me. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. This is a beautiful evening that you gave up to come out to listen to us. My name is Richard Stevens. I went by Rick all my life. When I hear the name Richard Stevens, it reminds me of my mom, because that's when I was always in trouble. I was born in Lafayette, Indiana. So for 40 years, I've lived in McCreary County. I'm 41 years old. I graduated McCreary County Leadership 2015. I'm certified in productive communication, blueprint reading, blueprint drawing. I'm a Greenbelt in innovative engineering. 4 years supervising at Outdoor Venture. Taught me a lot about management and how to live within your means. It's so be it. You can only, if you've only got a certain amount of things to work with, you can only work with what you got.
My name is William Taylor Deal. I've been married to Miss Kathy Taylor for 42 years and live in McCreary County. I had 2 daughters, Brandy and her husband Bo Rowe, and Holly and Curtis Darty. I have 3 grandchildren. There's Macy, Caden, and Caitlin. I work at Bluegrass Oxygen and have for the past 29 years. My goal, if elected, and I hope I am, as District 2 Magistrate, is to bring stability to a county. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We're going to start with the questions now. We'll start with Mr. Clark here for the first one. Can you describe briefly in what you envision the role of a McCreary County Magistrate to be? You have 1 minute.
Well, the way I've always known it was just ones that they have money to take care of the roads in their district, and I guess the people would call you and ask you to check out the roads and stuff where they live at, and you go and check it out, and then you see if you got the money to do it. I mean, that's basically all I'm familiar with on that part.
So. I think a role as a magistrate is a voice for our district. Like Mr. Clark was saying, the road stuff, that's simple. But now, being a voice is, what the people want you to be up there voicing is their opinion. Thank you.
I totally agree. An elected official is someone that the public elects to be a voice for them. So public opinion, listening to the public does make a difference in magistrate. Obviously, I have not been a magistrate before. I haven't been any type of political thing. I do have thoughts and plans for being a magistrate, but until you're actually in those shoes and you know what's going on, then it's hard to really say what a magistrate should be.
Again, for the past 29 years, I've been servicing McCreary County with medical equipment supplies. I've got multiple trucks on the roads every day. And the last 10 weeks visiting with people on the weekends when I can find them home. It's not a problem to find out what the patients need. You just need to, or patients, excuse me, it's to find out what the patients, here again, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. But anyway, it's not a problem to find out what they want. They will tell you. Don't go knock on a man's door and ask him to vote for you if you don't want to hear what's on his mind. Now, as far as that, again, if you will listen, they will tell you what they want. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Phillips. What would be your main objective if elected as magistrate of District 2?
My main objective is to make sure that people keep their taxes are low. I've fought against tax increases across the board a lot of times. Out talking to people, that's their greatest concern. I mean, we have so many people on fixed incomes that can't afford these big taxes that, you know, like the extension board passed last year, and with the garbage. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. But now my main goal would be to see that a jail would open in McCreary County shortly. That's their biggest problem right now, I think.
For me, obviously jail is a big issue. That is something that's going to require a lot of attention, a lot of research, a lot of studying. We do need a jail. Each prisoner, if I'm incorrect, I think receives $50 a day to be in there. So, you know, we used to have prisoners on the side of the road picking up trash and garbage. The trash will always be an issue. As long as you're drinking something or eating something, there will always be trash. Trash has to be dealt with properly. You can't just throw it out the window. So that's the trash in jail would be a big issue.
When the jail closed, the budget was $800,000. This year, it's going to be $1.3 million. Whether we get the new jail, whether we don't, we got to do something with the existing jail. It's becoming an eyesore on the community. Thank you.
The jail and garbage, both issues. I'd want to listen to the people, what they had to say about it. I know my opinion of it, and the jail is needs to be, because they're really spending a lot of money on transport, and I believe there's a way to do it. And if we have opportunity later, I can talk about that.
Well, we're gonna take that one right next there. Start with Mr. Stevens. Of course, we got a feasibility study that's been promised that's on the way that should give us an answer one way or the other. At least a roadmap of, do we need to build a jail or what needs to happen. So what are your thoughts on the jail transport situation? What do you see that could possibly do to change things, maybe help with transport costs or build a new jail?
I do know a couple of the transport officers personally, and you know, it is expensive to transport an officer. You know, why we can't transport a prisoner to Whitley County, Wayne County, Pulaski County, I don't know that information. Why we have to go all the way to Leslie County or wherever they take them, that's something that I don't know about. But it is expensive, you know. You have to pay someone for their time and for their fuel for the vehicle maintenance. A lot is in, you know, a lot's to take into consideration of transporting officers. So once the study comes out, then that would be a better, I would be a better able to answer that question. Excuse me.
I too are eagerly waiting to get that study back on what the feasibility of fixing the one versus a new one. But either way, you got to reduce this travel time. It's just getting out of hand, and we have to somehow control the spending. Thank you.
The study of this, what we're talking about, I think, you know, going to the bank to borrow the money is that's the way I've always worked. When I got money or anything, I had to go borrow it. And so I think that'd be one way of doing it. And I never got no raises at my job to help support it. So, you know, I think that the money that the bank would let them borrow would do it. If they just go borrow it. So, I mean, like you said, to study it.
I'm glad to announce, I got an email 2 days ago. The feasibility study is finished. It will be presented to next month's fiscal court. They want an hour to present it, so it must be pretty lengthy. But everybody talks about transport being the cost. Transport is pennies on the dollars on the budget as far as the cost of the jail. The $30 a day is what's killing us. I don't care if you house in Whitley County, Wayne County, or whatever. It's not going to help the cost overall. Where the money is involved is the daily cost. It's not a whole lot. It's pennies, like I said, pennies to the dollar on transport. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, the occupation tax increased by ½ cent last year. The extra revenue is directed to the jail fund. What are your thoughts on the occupation tax? How would you propose raising extra revenue outside of the occupation tax? And are you in favor of any additional taxes such as insurance, restaurant, etc. to raise revenue?
No, at this time, I'm not in favor of raising taxes. Again, visiting homes and talking to folks, they just are at their max. They just can't take any more taxing. And that's one of the biggest things they all discuss. And as far as raising taxes, no, not at this time. Thank you.
I'm not for raising taxes either. I think there's a lot of things we could do, you know, more tourism and things that we could offer to the county that bring more people in for money there, you know. There's a lot of things we could look into doing, you know, but, besides raising taxes, because it seems like there's taxes on everything. Fishing license went up, you know, and I know that's not local, but it still affects everybody.
Of course, I voted against the occupational tax. I said we had enough money to make it, and we did. And like if you watched last fiscal court meeting, I talked with the treasurer about how much excess money we had in general fund. I think that it could be lowered back, and I would fight to do that if we could just get enough support elsewhere. Like I said, I voted for the occupational tax the first time 14 years ago, and it was right after we lost the coal impact that took almost $1 million out of our budget. Back then, you know, it was either close the ambulance service down or pass a tax. And like I said, it was a dilemma for me. I was either, you know, I was willing for someone to be mad at me over that penny to the dollar versus, you know, somebody in the family not being able to get to that hospital. And back when we done it, we split the funds up into different accounts. Since then, the last administration, which I was not a part of the vote on it,
let him go on. Give him 10 more seconds.
They throw it all into general fund, which I was not in favor of this, and I still don't. I think that we need to be transparent where funds are going. You need to be allocated to where they go. And like I said, I'm against the occupational tax, the raise last year, and I would vote to, if I had 2 other members, to decrease it. Thank you.
I heard a magistrate say in physical court meeting one time that it's not so much as raising the taxes as where the money goes. And I agree with Mr. Phillips. It's not, you know, if you make $100 a day and you spend $100 a day, you're broke. That's just obvious. I think the money could be allocated into different positions where needed more, you know, but I'm really, at this point, I'm really not for raising taxes.
Again, I'm not for raising taxes either. Again, talking with the people here in the community, several come through our work, they just can't take any more taxing. Thank you.
Well, on the flip side of taxes, and you all, manage households, some manage businesses, you know that if revenue is not coming in and there's no way to increase it, you got to look at other means to make your dollar go further. So what are your thoughts on what areas you see could be potentially cut from our existing budget that would save money for the county? And we'll start with you, Mr. Stevens.
Last night I heard an option of cutting tourism. Maybe that is an option. I was always taught that you can't make an educated decision until you have the facts of both sides. Maybe that is an option. But this county is built around tourism. We have some of the most beautifulest natural sites, in the United States. I'm not sure that taking money from tourism would be the issue, but it could be, but taking money from other places, could be an issue.
I agree with that. We'll have to get into it and really take a serious look at the budget to see what could withstand a tax cut. Thank you.
I agree with the last statement there. We just have to check into it and see what's going on before we could really make a good decision.
Well, as everybody knows, we've we've combined positions. I think that everything is cut to the bare bones right now. But as far as raising taxes, we've got money in general fund. We're in better shape now than we've been in years. And like I said, if you've listened to the last few court meetings, you'll see what the treasurer said about that too. But now, like I said, we've always cut and combined positions, and I think that everything is cut to the max right now. Thank you.
How do you feel about the current business license ordinance, and with that, the yard sale restrictions tied to that business license? If you were elected, would you like to see any changes to that particular ordinance?
With our business, we currently have a business license, as with all of them in the area. The only thing about the yard selling, perhaps you could get like a day permit. You could buy a $10 permit, have a yard sale, and then once that was done, in order to do it again, you would have to have another permit, such as you do for camping. I do believe that the business ordinance is a good thing, a good license.
There's a lot of people like the yard sale for sure. I know there's some that caused it to change because of the way they would camp out and do different things, in the county, and cause a lot of trouble. But there's a lot of places where people can yard sale without having to get charged for it, but it bring money in, no doubt. So.
Eugene, I know this is close to you. You've been on me on this.
Darlene asked last night. So.
Well, I know this is close to your heart, though, on this MP3 over there. Currently, right now, the ordinance says if you have more than 3 yard sales a month, then you need a business ordinance. If somebody's doing it more than 3 times a month, I think they're in business. And they ain't no better than me paying occupational tax where I work. I mean, if it's I heard last night, talking about the flea markets and stuff like that shouldn't be. Well, if they're making a living that way, that's no different than me, at my current job each day. $20, if $20 a year is a hardship on a business, I'm afraid you're probably going to be out of business pretty shortly anyway. So. That's just my take on it.
Can I follow up?
No.
Okay.
I totally agree with that. If you're having yard sales, every weekend or a couple times a week, I do know my mom loves yard selling. The tourists that come to the county, they like yard selling, I hear them talk about it at McDonald's. But I agree with Mr. Phillips. If you can't pay, a $20 fee or whatever it may be, then you're probably not making money to begin with.
I think a yard sale's good. I mean, when people come into the community, that's what they're doing. They have a good one. But we do need one that is neat. This is what you see, as we mentioned earlier, that's yet again an eyesore on our community. I don't think yard sales is a bad thing. Enjoy them myself, but I don't think that maybe a one-time permit would be the answer. Thank you.
Okay, well, to follow up on eyesores, one issue that has been bothering a lot of citizens is the recent changeover in garbage service with the new garbage provider. A lot of confusion over the contract and a lot of people upset over the mandatory clause of it. So just to ask you your thoughts on the current garbage situation and the contract and the ordinance. And I guess Roger, we start with you, or sorry. Oh, sorry, Mr. Clark, sorry.
This again, you know, the way I ever got anything was to borrow money. So if the county could go borrow the money for a piece of land and just have our own garbage side again, you know, that they get paid back with money that they're paying now from the people that get garbage anyway. So that's my thought.
First of all, I voted against the mandatory garbage. I didn't think it was a good ordinance. I think people ought to have a choice as long as they're getting rid of their garbage and them, you know, as long as they ain't throwing it over the hill, as long as they're recycling and taking it to where it needs to be done. I don't think that, you know, and with going back with the contract, we went with the low bid. I know a gentleman last meeting said you got what you wanted. Well, if we went with the high bid, people would have been griping because we went with the high bid. I had so many complaints on Scott Solid Waste before that. You know, people was tired of them, but now since we got the new bunch, you know, I've gotten more complaints than ever. And I think that they're really ripping the contractors off over at the station one day a week. I've talked with Conley to see if we can find a loophole in the contract, because I'd like to see that thing void, because I think the people we've got now is really raping our citizens of McCreary County. Thank you.
Okay, obviously I don't know what the contract says, you know, other than what I heard about it last night, about that they could raise the price at least one time per year, according to fuel and overhead, things like that. From a business frame of mind, I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm thinking it most probably will happen. Once a year for the next 5 years, they will raise the price of it. But, you know, like I said earlier, trash, there will always be trash, and it has to be taken care of properly. And you can't just throw it out beside the road. You can't just find a dead-end road and dump a truck full. But, you know, if I have one bag of trash and my neighbor has 12 bags of trash and he pays the same price that I do, I feel kind of jealous. I mean, for a lack of better words, because I'm paying for one bag, I'm paying for 15 bags.
I agree with Mr. Phillips. I think we need to get the county attorney to look at that. It's just not working. This morning, just driving out Waynesburg Street, within a mile, there were 4 illegal trash sites within 1 mile. We got to get something done on this. It's getting out of hand. Thank you.
Are you in favor of hiring a code enforcement officer to enforce mandatory garbage pickup, business license ordinance, etc.?
Yeah.
No.
Already working with a tight budget, I think that's spending more money that's not necessary. I don't see a reason for that.
Again, mandatory, no.
I'd say no.
Of course, last week with the announcement that the governor selected a portion of Whitley City and Stearns area, one census tract in the county as an opportunity zone, which is going to be a benefit for investors and new businesses encouraged. But as a magistrate, how would you work with the fiscal court to encourage economic development in McCreary County?
I would love to see more jobs generated in McCreary County. You know, I have a stepson and a grandson. They live in Somerset because it's closer to his job. I don't think the answer is a big magical industrial park. You know, maybe you know, a few 10, 15 small places that could employ 10, 15 people. I believe would be a great start, and then maybe someday develop into a big magical industrial park.
I think we need to look at someone doing some marketing for the county. Hire someone and put them on a commission sales. If they bring business in, they make more money. If they don't, they do. But in traveling 6 counties, the surrounding counties are prospering. They're just prospering and doing great. I know that our county is 75% government owned, but still, they got to be something we can do.
I've always worked out of the county most of the time. Maybe 2 years I worked in McCreary County. We definitely need jobs in McCreary County. I'd definitely be willing to work with someone trying to get jobs, for sure.
Could you repeat that question?
Certainly. Obviously, the announcement we're an opportunity zone. The basic question is how would you work to encourage economic development?
It was kind of sad to see where the governor picked. We turned in the whole county, and he kind of just picked Stearns area. I thought it was kind of sad knowing our industrial park was in the lower part, and he didn't even choose that section. So it's going to be hard. Are we going to get any other questions on jobs, or is this going to be the main question? This is going to be my question. Okay. As far as jobs, we're limited here until we get this Kentucky work-ready community here. We're never going to have jobs here. I mean, I got a map right here, and you can see right here where McCreary County is. See right here, we're in the letter of intent all around. And until we get this, and a lot of this stuff, a lot of people don't understand, but a lot of it, the first 5 questions of this questionnaire deals with high school graduation rate, percent of working adults without a high school diploma or GED.
Time.
Yep. Roger, we've got like one more regular question, then we'll do the last statement. You can finish your thoughts on that one then.
All right. What would you do to ensure your district's portion of road funding is spent wisely, efficiently, and fairly?
Driving around District 2 and most part of the county, personally, in my opinion, I think the roads are being well maintained. I don't see, any major issues. So I think the way that it's working out as far as maintaining the highways is sufficient.
I agree, Mr. Stevenson. Traveling throughout the county, the roads are in better shape than they've been in years. The thing is to stay at it, stay on top of it, and keep them in that condition. Thank you.
I believe when people would call you to come out and look at the roads, and that we could maybe do some notary public stuff on that, making sure that we let them know that we are looking at the roads and keeping them in mind, because you may go to another road and not look at yours, and so, sending out paperwork saying, hey, we had this notarized, we know that you have called us for this road. I think that would work.
I think I've done a pretty good job on my roads, and I'll tell you why. I have 183 miles of road. District 1 has 140. Districts 3 and 4 have 80 mile apiece. That's 160 mile together. I have 23 more miles than they do together, and I get the same portion of money as they do. So I think I've done a pretty good job. And I'll tell you what I've done. I've quit doing the chip and seal. You can't do as many roads as far as the blacktopping, but that's been my priority is blacktop and do less roads, and they last a lot longer. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Now we're going to give you an opportunity, and Roger, you finish your thought, but we'll give you 2 minutes to do a closing statement, respond to any questions or anything else that you feel that you want to address tonight. We'll start with Mr. Stevens.
Okay, I'd like to ask everyone to vote for me for magistrate for District 2, first of all. And, you know, I had the opportunity, as far as jobs is concerned, I had the opportunity to sit down with the president of Fruit of the Loom from Bowling Green, and he raised some questions that, you know, couldn't be answered for this county. It's hard to bring jobs from Western Kentucky to the Appalachian because of the situation that the Appalachian is in as far as the drug problem and things, lack of education and those sorts of things. You know, I do know that, you know, there's, okay, prime example, Roger gets the same amount of money to repair twice the amount of roads that District 3 and District 4. Why not take money from District 3 and District 4 and help District 2? You know, it's just simple logic, but yeah, I agree, and I can only imagine. But, you know, there's a lot of questions that I can't answer. You know, I don't want to promise somebody something that I can't fulfill. There's a lot of questions that I can't answer until I know the details of both sides of it.
I don't have the answer, but I would be glad to work and talk with anyone that wanted to talk to me about that. We've got to figure out some way to bring in some industry. And traveling throughout the other counties such as we do on a weekly basis, you just see that they're prospering and doing so well. But I'm also familiar with the challenges in business today. With 29 years in the medical district, it's really changed. And they've cut and they've cut and they've cut. So I'm very familiar with working with budgets. But I would like to get a good look at the county budget as far as what we got before we make any decisions. Thank you.
I'm asking everyone to vote for Edward Clark for Magistrate District 2. I appreciate your vote. I'm asking you to vote for me, not to tell you to vote for me, but I want to ask you. I know most of the sign says vote and elect, so I'm asking, you know. But I know that's how everything goes, but the way it's always did, and people going and knocking on the doors. You know, there was like 5 in District 2 was running for the office of magistrate, and I'm sure people get tired of people knocking on their doors. So I didn't want to be number 4 or 5 that knocked on their door, you know. So I asked the people in the paper to vote for me. My wife and children, I have 3 children and a wife. I want to mention that, and certainly thankful, you know, that to be in McCreary County. Although I said a while ago I've never hardly worked in McCreary County, but I still love it here. I always wanted to get back when I was away, and if you vote for me to be magistrate, I just try to do my best to do the job the way it should be done.
Getting back to what I was talking earlier on the jobs, the first 5 questions of that really deals with the school system. And I'm pleased to say that our school system has really come along in the last 3 or 4 years. I just hope the next administration will work their tails off to get us work ready, because we're not even in the game when it comes. I mean, the jobs this day and age are technology jobs. Anybody you talk to, if you're not Kentucky work ready, you're not even in the playing field. I mean, years ago, I've always heard back in the 70s, you know, when people left here to go to Ohio or Michigan, Indiana to get jobs, you know, they was kind of moved up to the front of the line because, you know, they knew how hard working McCreary County was. Nowadays, it's not like that. You can't just call, you know, first thing they're going to ask you is, are you Kentucky work ready? And we're down here, you know, 35 or certified work ready, 50 or certified work ready in progress, and we're down here at letter of intent, which we're above the formative stage. I mean, there's 11 below us, But until we get this thing done, we're never going to get many jobs here. But I appreciate these guys. I've not heard one of them dog me in any way this election, and I've not dogged any of them. I appreciate each one of them. And I appreciate everybody that's come here tonight, and I look forward to finishing this campaign up, knocking on doors. I'm going to bug you. But now, I appreciate you. May 22nd, vote Roger Phillips. Thank you.
And we do appreciate you all coming out here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel Clark, Roger Phillips, Rick Stevens, and Bill Taylor, your Republican candidates for magistrate in District 2. Let's give them a round of applause. Again, thank you. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll begin with our District 4 candidates. Thank you very much. In action, I'd like to introduce our candidates for magistrate in District 4. Right? I'll let them introduce themselves. So we'll start with Mr. Creeper. Y'all can have a minute to introduce yourselves to the crowd.
I'm Lonnie Crickmore. I'm running for magistrate in the 4th District. Born and raised in Pineham. I have 9 brothers and sisters. Me and Patsy has 5 children. And if you people don't know me, if I'm elected, you will, because I'm the fighter. I'll fight for the county, and I'll fight for each one of you.
Vernon Gilreath, also from Magistrate in District 4. I have lived here all my life. I've not moved away at any time. Worked here all my life. Run a business for 30 years. Taught school for 30 years. I don't know how I done all that, but I did. But I'm married to Nelda. If the Lord lets me live till November the 10th, we'll be married 52 years. And I sort of hesitate to say that because my buddies would, if I told them that, my buddies would say, Lord, I don't know how she made it. And but I am running for magistrate, and sometimes I wonder why, but I think that there's some things that I still have to offer that I can do good with the county. I think I can fight for the people. I love the county. I've had an opportunity several times to leave, and I never would. You just can't get the county out of the man when he's born and raised here. And that's the reason I'm here. I can't see any financial gain for me, and actually probably cost me money if I were to get elected, because I would have to hire people to take care of my farm business at times. So, okay.
Well, a friend of mine said, "What are you going to do now that you're retired? You're fat, bald, and ugly." I said, "Well, I guess I'll run for office." So here I am. My name's Randy Dolan, and I'm from McCreary County. Been here most of my life. I had to move away a couple of times. My mom and dad are Royal and Theresa Dolan. My beautiful wife's Jill Tucker, and her parents are Parker and Nancy Tucker. I want to be a progressive magistrate. I don't want to take any pay for it. I'll donate that back to the county and or charities, either one. You're looking at 4 magistrate salaries of close to $180,000 with benefits. But I want to do what's right for McCreary County for the future generations. It's our kids that need the help, not necessarily us. So if you don't care, vote for me if you can. I'm running out of time. I can go on forever. Here you go, Randy.
Yeah, my name is Randy Maxwell, lifelong resident of McCreary County, been here all my life. Graduated McCreary Central in '83. I married Tina Gilreath in '89. We started the business, Gilreath Roofing, and been at it ever since. And I want to help the people. I like working with people, and I just like to be your voice, help you, and first I need to learn to be a good speaker. But that's all I got to say.
My name is Jimmy Smith. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Jamestown, Tennessee. About the age of 11, we moved to Oneida. Proceeded school there. Met my high school sweetheart, Lisa Kidd Smith. We got married, moved to McCreary County, been here 25 plus years. Got 3 kids. And youngest one's 18. They're not much kids anymore. But now I've raised my family, but they're going to raise their family. And I'd like to see a better place for them to do that here, and that's the reason why I'm running District 4. Thank you.
I'm Dustin Baird, lifelong resident of McCreary County. I graduated in 1997. I'm married to Heather Chestnut Baird. We have 5 kids, Kaylee, Caleb, Lily, Cambry, and Kinley. And I appreciate your all's vote. Thank you all for coming out.
Okay, Mr. Creedmoor, we'll start this one with you. What do you think is the greatest problem facing McCreary County today? And if elected, how would you address it?
Well, I'd say the first problem, can you hear me? Okay. I think we need jobs here more probably than anything. I'm the type of guy that I'll go to Frankfurt myself. I can talk to people, seem like I get along well with people, and I'm willing to go and help us any way I can.
We've heard about a lot of things that the county's in trouble with, and Roger tells us that we're in better financial shape right now than we've been in several years, I think he said. I think from watching everything, and I haven't been to fiscal court, I decided not to go. When I decided to do this, I just wanted to start from new, but I've been listening to people, and the way that everything looks to me is that we're not in good financial shape. We don't have a jail. We can't seem to get along over there. I watch it on TV, and it looks to me like everybody in the fiscal court's mad at each other. I don't know what's wrong with them, but seems like they don't want to agree on anything at times. But jobs, Lonnie hit the nail on the head. We need some jobs, but we need small companies. We don't need to go after large companies, I don't think.
I believe that Magistrate Phillips hit the nail on the head. The first thing you have to do is become work ready. If you look at the surrounding counties that are work ready, they're flourishing. Look at Monticello, they've just got 220 jobs. Rockcastle County, we fail miserably in that. As he said, we have a letter of intent on that. But whenever you have jobs, you have people working, you have more pride, you have, and it's been proven, less drug addiction. We have a drug problem here. But we're not going to get jobs like Toyota overnight. I think what we need to do is help flourish the jobs that we have here now, whether it be getting young people to work at the prison, school system, Jerry Stevens' factory, whatever. We need to help them grow as well. We do have some jobs here, but we have to help them grow their business.
Yeah, I agree. Jobs is number one, and I think the jail is number one too. I think we need to think about this administration and you know, get a bunch that will work together and solve some problems. I think if you got everybody working together, the jail's not as big as it looks, and everybody work together, solve these problems, and then get the right people in the right place, and we'll get jobs. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with them also. We've got several issues here. We're going to have to get to a conclusion on this jail. We're going to have to bring some jobs in here. If we don't, I just don't see us. The county's going to go bankrupt here pretty soon if we can't get something going. I mean, it just don't seem like nobody wants to work as a team. We've got to come together on this right here, and we've got to pull together as one.
Well, first of all, I love McCreary County. I love living here. There's a few problems, you know. We need jobs. We need a jail, if we can get one, or a closer place to house our prisoners. But I'll tell you one thing, I feel like housing our prisoners is the big cost, like Roger said. You know, I mean, the transporting is not the big cost. I don't think that's the problem. But like these guys said, I think jobs is probably number one. Jobs in the jail, that's the two biggest problems.
The occupation tax was increased last year by ½ cent, with the extra revenue being directed to the jail fund. What are your thoughts on the occupation tax? How would you propose raising revenue outside of the occupation tax?
You can talk, and talk is cheap. You could come up with a lot of plans on doing things, but you don't know too much about how to do anything until you get there. I think that really that the occupational tax is probably one of the worst type of taxes that you can put on the people, because it taxes the working people. And I think even if you're going to have tax and you want something that's more fair to do, then do a sales tax, do a county sales tax. Do something that's fair where I have to pay it too. I don't pay occupational tax. I don't make any money.
15.
If we're going to have to increase anything, then I would say to try to do it over the whole spectrum and do it fairly.
In regards to the occupational tax, at the time that it was implemented, I mean, there was really no other choice. You had an insurance tax, a wheel tax, and the occupational tax. The DLG come down and they said, this will fix your problem. And that's whenever the magistrates at that time, I believe, enacted it with the judge. As far as what to do now, with our expenditures going up all the time and revenue going down, I don't know if we can ever drop it. I'm not for it. But we have to have some revenue coming in to pay for the services of the county.
I know we had to have the occupation tax, but I like the sound of lowering it. But yeah, we got to run the county. I don't like no more raising taxes. I think everybody wants to hit the working man. Well, enough is enough, I think, and I knew we had to have it, but let's put a limit on these taxes. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Randy. We had to have the occupational tax, but it only gets the working man, and we're back to square one. There's no work here in the county, so if you're only getting a working man, then I don't see how it's feasible. So I talk to people, and a lot of people are not against paying tax if they're getting something in return. If you're not going to get nothing in return from paying taxes, then a lot of people gets really upset about that. So I'm not in there. I've not seen everything. I'd like to get in there and look at everything and see what's really going on before I really make a decision one way or the other. But that's my choice on it.
Yeah, I voted to raise the occupational tax 1/2 cent, and I did that after a lot of thought. I thought about all of the taxes that they put before us, the insurance, the wheel tax. I didn't want to add another tax. We can't legally put in a sales tax. You can't legally put in a restaurant tax. You can't legally do lots of taxes. And I didn't want to add an additional tax. And I looked at, I had some people call me, and I thought that would be the best tax, the most fair tax to put in. And so we raised it 1/2 of 1 cent, which would provide about $500,000, because the occupational tax at 1% was bringing in about $1 million. So at 0.5% would bring in about $500,000. And we directed that toward the jail. And by directing that toward the jail, then if we ever needed to bring any out that we were taking out of general fund, then we could put that back into the general fund.
My thought about it, I don't think we should have ever lost a jail. That jail didn't go under overnight. It gradually went, and apparently The current administration, they just let it go. I mean, that's just kind of the way I look at it. And then they got so poor and dead, they had to put a tax on it. I grew up here, no occupational tax. We had twice as much stuff as we have now. I just can't understand why we are taxed to death. You can't tax your way out of your problem. You need to solve them, and if I'm elected, I'll do my very best to solve them. If I can't, I'll go get help.
Okay, Mr. Dolan, we're going to start this one with you. I think to a man, each one of you said that jobs is a main priority for the county. What would you do as a member of the fiscal court to encourage economic development, looking at job recruiters or directing a judge executive or a deputy judge or somebody in that office to recruit? Your thoughts on economic development?
First thing we have to do is have a presence at the Workforce Investment Committee in Russell Springs and the Lake Herman Area Development District. If we do not get work ready, as Magistrate Phillips said, we're just not going to get there. We have to get the school system on board. We have to get our leaders, of course, on board, and a community as a whole. Unless you are work ready, it's not going to happen, as I said before. So we have to do the first step, and that would be being a work ready community.
Yes, I think we need an economic developer. I think it would start as a deputy judge. And the judge, well, the whole administration. I think small business, I think we got workers here. We got people to work, and we got smart people. And I think that if we had a chance, we can do it. You know, we just got to have the right opportunity and the right people to get it here.
Yeah, I also agree. It's just, I mean, you got to walk before you can run, so to speak. So I mean, we've got to start small before we even think big.
I agree with him. We have to get the county work ready, and you know, we can combine jobs to get an economic development individual in the office. Maybe a deputy judge executive could take that on, or something like that. You know, but we first of all need to get the county to the work ready position.
Roger, this is not for you. One of the masters, I asked them, I said, do you have an economic board here? Someone that goes, looks for jobs, industrial board? I didn't know. I've not been into politics, but I'm hoping I'll learn more. He said, I think we do. And I said, do you think we do? And I said, could you give me the names of some of them? He said, I don't know it yet. So we need to get someone to get out there and hustle and get some work in here.
You know, I think everybody wants everything, but nobody wants to pay for anything. And I think that's a lot of our problem. And I'm going to say this, and some of you will agree with me and some of you will not agree with me. You can't get work ready unless you've got some money to do it with. And just last year, the school system had a chance to put a tax on, a small tax, and get matched, I think 2 to 1, somewhere around 2 to 1. Would have brought in enough money, and they were going to use this, from what I understood in talking to the superintendent and some of the people in charge over there, they were going to use it for a technology center. That's the very thing that y'all are talking about. We need a technology center. We can't build it by ourselves. We don't have the money to do it. And we're going to have to concentrate on something else if we're going to depend on that. It got withdrawn, the tax did, as y'all know. And I understand. I understand that people don't want to pay.
Okay, Mr. Maxwell. Maxwell, we'll start with you on this one. How do you feel about the current business and yard sale ordinance? If elected, would you like to see any changes?
Well, the business tax. I don't think you can compare us to Wayne County, Whitley, Pulaski. I think if you keep it at the $25, that's all right with me. But I'm old-fashioned. I don't think if you want to have a yard sale on your land, it's your business. It's your, not mine. And I'm not. I think too controlling is a problem. I think we should let businesses go. I'm not against, $25 a year, so that's nothing. But I am against controlling of any business. Let's be friendly to business. Bring business in.
Yeah, I mean, I think $25 is a small fee to pay for a year. I mean, if you're making money. The yard sale deal, I know that's a tough situation. You don't see many yard sales going on now, but everyone's probably got Facebook. If you open up to Facebook, they're selling it there. So, I mean, people are going to sell. I mean, like if you sell it in your yard, I mean, I just don't understand because there's sometimes, that's people's ends meets for the month. I mean, they do it for extra money. Things are tight. We don't have jobs here, so. I don't know about the yard sale tax. I mean, that's a fine line right there, but it's small business. I mean, $25, whatever it is a year. I mean, it goes back. If you're not making money, $25, you're hurting.
Could you repeat the question?
How do you feel about the current business and yard sale ordinance? If elected or re-elected, would you like to see any changes?
Okay. I probably wouldn't like to see any changes. I mean, I agree with it. Like Roger said, if you're not making $20 a year, then you're probably not making any money at all. You're allowed to have 3 yard sales a month, and if you have more than 3 yard sales a month, then I would say you have a business in place. And if you're not making more than $20 a year, and you're having more than 3 yard sales a month, I'd say you need to find something else to do.
Well, I'm against the yard sale. I think you ought to have a right to sell what junk you want to sell, or whatever you call it, good stuff, bad stuff. And I think that the county ought to do something for the people that pays their taxes, pays their salary. What they should have done, they should have took one weekend a month, let the citizens go down to county park, do their yard sale, free of charge, appreciation for what the taxes they paid, and clean their mess up and go back home. No, I am against the yard sale.
I hate yard sales. My wife was having a yard sale one day, and I was working on my truck, and I had a knife that cost $40. I laid it down on the bumper of my truck, had the truck up in the yard, and that's when my daughters were fairly young. Somebody come by and wanted to know how much that knife was, and my youngest daughter said it's 25 cents. And she sold it. Now, do you see why I hate yard sales? I don't think yard sales is that much of a problem, and I don't think this ordinance is any kind of money maker for the county. I think it causes more problems to try to enforce it than anything else, but I think it was put in there to try to give a fair and level playing field for people coming in outside the county. And if it does that, then that's fine. But I don't really hate yard sales.
As far as the yard sales things go, it's a yard sale. If you want to have a yard sale, have a yard sale. If you do it 4 weekends or 30 days of the month, that's a business. I mean, bottom line. As far as the business license go, as he said, it puts us on a level playing field with other entities that are coming in here, like roofing companies and stuff like that, where they skated by and didn't have to pay their occupational tax or anything else. So as far as the business license, I'm absolutely for it.
Okay, and we'll start with Mr. Smith, and this is a little touchier subject, so we're going to go ahead and give you 2 minutes to answer this next question, just so you're all aware. But we're going to talk about special taxing districts. Extension board, your library, health departments, fire departments are all special purpose government entities. They have the authority to impose and set their own tax rates. The fiscal court has no authority over those rates or can't really direct them what to do. But as a member of the fiscal court, what would you do to work with these districts to ensure that any tax they do set or raise or anything, to ensure that tax money is spent wisely, fairly, and equally? And we'll start with Mr. Smith on that.
Okay. Well, I know they're going to get a hard one. Well, once again, we're back on taxes, and that's kind of a toughy situation. I mean, you got to have taxes operate. I mean, that's just it. I know every year you got certain things that they want to raise taxes. Just going to be honest with you, I just don't really know at this point how that is actually done over at the court system, how that's ruled upon, how they look at that, how they make their decision. That's something that, you know, I'll have to get in there and then learn. This is a new learning curve for me. I'm in it for the right reason. I'm in it from my heart. I want to do something good for this county, but I can't make any promises that I can't keep.
Well, these special districts, you know, they come in and they can set whatever tax rate they want to set, and the only thing we as a fiscal court can accept the tax, you know. And I would say that what we really need to do is maybe we could meet with these special districts, and that'd be about the only thing that you could do is just meet with them and maybe advise them, you know, on what they might need, you know, maybe need to spend it on or something like that. But as far as the rate that they set or the rate that they recommend, there's really nothing that you can do, because whatever rate they recommend, you pretty much have to accept it.
Well, for these taxes, I don't think 4 people, or how many is on the board, should have the right to set their taxes for whatever they want it for. They could ask for 4%, why couldn't you ask for 7%? But the fiscal court somehow should have a control of what percentage that they could go up to, and as often as they could, not just whatever they decide to do if they get in a hard spot. Thank you.
You know, there is some checks and balances in force already for special taxing districts. Every one of them is supposed to, by April the 15th every year, to file a report with the fiscal court, a budget, have you, and in some cases, in most cases, I think it's supposed to be natural audit. I think they've been ignored. That's been ignored for years. The fiscal court should know every penny that each of those special taxing districts has, what they use it for, what it's spent for. There is, and if you want to read about it, you go to KRS 67.083, and it's the county home rule, and all the regulations are in there, and it tells you what special taxing people can do. And I think there is a limit. I don't know what it is, but I think there's a limit on how much they can change their tax each year. But the state did file a bill this year to allow the fiscal court to either accept in 30 days after they increase their taxes, or to reject it. But it didn't pass, I understand. But if you're interested, and if the fiscal court is interested in that type of thing, and interested in having control, some control of special taxing districts, and there's a lot of them even in this county, then they should be lobbying their legislators to get that bill back on there next year and tell them why, and tell them they want the thing passed. They do need some checks and balances on what they do. I agree. You need to know, and that's been my problem with paying taxes. I think I pay my fair share. That's what the PVA tells tells me every time you want to pay your fair share. I think I pay my fair share, but there needs to be some checks and balances on how the money is spent. That's what I would want to see. How is it spent?
Mr. Gilreath's right. There is a KRS statute on that. He's absolutely correct. Whenever we're looking at special taxing districts, we have to see how far, one way or the other, they're going to go as to what they're asking for, whether it be library or extension or whatever. I mean, we pay a fire tax. Do we want to knock that in the head to get less fire protection? The library, do we want to kill the library? Do we want to kill everything just to save $1? We're doing this for our kids and our kids' safety. So, I mean, as far as what you're talking about, we do have to have the special taxing districts. We have to do it within reason, though, and within moderation, not overtax and overburden the taxpayer.
I think it's the problem. It got us to where we are now with the extension tax. It was, what, 3.9, and they limited it out. So I think we got to compromise with each other. Can't just top everything out.
Mr. Baird, are you in favor of having a county code enforcement officer to enforce current and future ordinances such as mandatory garbage pickup, business license, yard sale ordinances, etc.? If not, how would you enforce these ordinances?
No, I'm not in favor of having an enforcement officer. I would just have the sheriff's department to enforce the ordinances.
Well, I think part of it would be took off the book to start with. But no, I'm not for anyone coming out to my house, checking me to see what I'm doing. I own that place. Thank you.
I don't see any need to throw good money after bad money, and to go and hire another person, you're going to defeat your total purpose. I don't think we need another person put on the payroll to do that work.
At this time, I'm somewhat neutral on it, one way or the other. Until elected or not elected, I need more information on this one as far as their enforcement abilities, one way or the other. If we can get a sheriff's deputy to do it, yes, let's let that. But we need also to realize that we need everyone on the same playing field. It's not fair for one prison worker to pay occupational tax and the other prison worker not to. That's just an example.
No, I'm not for hiring no officer. No, I'm not for mandatory. I don't think nobody should tell me what to do on my own land. If it needs cleaned up, my wife will tell me. So I'll take care of my place and you take care of yours.
Yeah, I'm totally against it. I mean, it goes back to where you know, we need to maybe the issue might be looking into having our own landfill or something, and you know, because there is getting to be a lot of garbage, and I think it's going to be a bigger issue as more and more we get into this, and we tell people they've got to do something, the more they're not going to do it. I mean, you know, we need a place to get rid of our garbage and all of that, but I mean, this county is not going to accept someone coming in and saying you're going to do this and going to do that. It just doesn't work.
And we're back to Mr. Creekmore on this one, and we already talked economic development, but the other side of the same coin is tourism. What are your thoughts on encouraging and developing tourism marketing in McCreary County?
Well, tourism is good. It brings people in, but when they see what they see, most of them go back home. A lot of them brings their own food in with them when they come to hike or stay all night. I do when I go camping, when I leave town, I take my own food with me. But we need to have more, maybe car shows or something to bring people in that they're interested in. We've got to come up with something that will move the people in and let them stay overnight. Maybe they'll see something that they like and want to stay.
And I have sort of, I guess, pretty much mixed emotions about tourism. Having Stearns being a trail town sounds real good, but a trail town means that the hikers are coming through and going on through. I can't see anything in the way of economics that tourism has done yet to help the county. And I think if we're going to concentrate on tourism, we're going to have somebody that has some pull and know how to go out and bring in new money. I don't think the people that's got money in this county is going to put it out to develop tourism. And I don't believe that we can develop tourism unless we have something to hold the people when they get here. We got a beautiful country, we got a beautiful area for them to look at, but we don't have anything like, you know, when they did Mine 18 down there, they were going to make another Pigeon Forge. And I've been down through there and I haven't seen it yet. And I really haven't seen much benefit of the money we spent promoting tourism.
Tourism in McCreary County is about $8 to $11 million a year entity. I mean, you don't physically see it all in one lump sum, but it does trickle down. As far as how to promote tourism, we have to get a plan together with a good board, which we have a great tourism board, and I'm lucky enough to volunteer up for a lot of their events. We have to get the plan together to hold them here overnight, as Mr. Gilreath said, because that's where the transient tax dollars come from. We get 3% on every night that somebody stays here. That equates out to about $18,000 to $21,000 a year. That's it. That's the budget that we have to promote the Big South Fork and the Daniel Boone National Forest. So we have to get them here overnight to increase the budget to help increase visitation. We have to have our tourism board right now together more of a strategic plan on capturing them here, like the Yamacraw Run, the No Business Run that we're having in the fall. I mean, we've got people coming from Kenya to stay here for 3 and 4 nights at a time. You know, we've got 23 states, something like that. 2 countries that just come here for the Yamacraw Run. So we need to develop more of these events.
I think so too. I think the marathon is a good thing. 4-wheeler club, car shows. We need a director, somebody to go after, bring the people in. McCreary County's got a lot to offer, and let's offer what we can. Let's get what we can out of it, because you know, the government owns so much, but we've got to get what we can out of it.
I think tourism is a good thing. We got some of the prettiest country anywhere around. My thought about that is when people come in to kayak or they come in to hike, you know, they bring their stuff in here, they do their daily routine, and you know they're going. You know, they're going to go back to Somerset, they're going to go to London and Corbin. You know, you think about if you bring 4 or 5 kids in here with mom and dad at nighttime, they go to a motel room, kids are wanting to go do something. What you got for them to do? With no Walmart, no movie theater, no bowling alley, nothing like that. So until we can get something here to offer, I don't think you can go get anybody to come in here also, because they're going to go to Somerset and London. They're going to go where they, you know, they knock a party family.
I think Randy was right. You know, we need to bring people in, have more car shows. But how many runners, Randy, that came to that last race? It was almost 500, right?
It was down here almost 6.
Almost 6. Almost 600 runners came to that last race. Well, it's been a month ago. So, I mean, you know, a lot of people come to those races. You know, they have like 2 or 3 races a year. You know, so if you can bring that many people in just to a race like that, you know, just think of how many more people we could bring in just doing little things like that. You know, and then we could get the transit tax, and I think that book the rooms out in McCreary County for those weekends. You know, thank you.
I agree with all these boys, pretty much.
All right, since we don't have any women candidates tonight, I think I'm safe in asking this question. Mr. Gilreath, what makes you the best man for the job of being magistrate in District 4?
That's not fair. You didn't do that to the other bunch. I was listening. I'd like to say it's because I'm so good looking, but you know, I can't do that. I've had a lot of experiences. I've worked at a lot of things. When I started teaching school, my paycheck was $300 a month, take home for 9 months. And in the summertime, you had to find something to do. I went to Ohio, and I worked on a sweet corn farm for $1 an hour. I went on to Indiana and worked for $1.25 an hour on a bridge building crew. And I learned early on that you had to do a lot of stuff if you're going to stay in McCreary County. I had an offer of a job with Eli Lilly and Company over in Indiana, had in their lab. I had a degree in chemistry and math, and an area in physics, and also had a job offer in Cincinnati with Avon, and not as a model, okay, I was in their lab. But I've had a lot of experience in doing a lot of things. I ran a business for 30 years. I think the county ought to be run like a business. You pay your bills, you pay your employees. If you've got any money left, you need to stash it back somewhere because you're going to have a rainy day. Roger said we got excess money up there. If we've got excess money up there right now, the county ought to be laying back a rainy day fund because bad times are coming sometime. And I don't think we ought to spend everything we've got just because we've got it. And I'm pretty conservative. I want the judges to know that I will not be a yes vote for all their pet projects. I will want to look at everything that they have to say and everything they want to do. You know, the magistrates have got a lot more power than working on roads and that type of thing. They can do, they can make a judge or they can break a judge. So I think I'd be better for that.
He got me off on the Avon thing.
What makes you the best man for the job of being magistrate in District 4?
I'm not so sure that I would be the best man. Would I be the worst guy? No. Am I one of the good old boys? No, I'm not. I've followed county politics ever since college, pretty much. I love this county. I do. I get aggravated at it. I get miffed at it a lot. I say things I probably shouldn't, but it is our home, and our kids are growing up here. As far as business experience, I've got 30 years in corporate and independent businesses like Mr. Gilreath does. What I want to do is what he wants to do, bring fiscal responsibility, and as he said, the magistrate's job really is just as important as the judge's job, and people don't understand that. So hopefully, this election, we can start changing things around to be a more progressive county.
What makes, say that again now?
I thought this one was easy. What makes you the best man for the job of being magistrate in District 4?
Well, I like running a business. I like dealing with people. I don't like this speaking. I'm not good at this. But I love this county. I want to do things for the county. I want to be a part of bringing things in here. Let's do something besides, you know, we're always complaining this, complaining that. Honesty and hard work will make this county go. And a good bunch that work together, solve problems. That's what I want to be a part of.
Well, me also, I can't tell you that I'm being the best man for the job because I can't speak for the other guys up here. I'm sure they're all great guys, but I'm willing to try and get 110% constantly, you know, when on my truck, you know, there's months that you do good. I've come to know pretty quick the months you're doing good, you just watch out, because there's going to be a month coming down the road that's not going to be so good for you. So it's just the old saying, you got to tighten your belt up. You know, don't live beyond your means. The old saying is, you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, you just got to live within your means. You just got to keep a budget. And if I'm elected, you know, I'm willing to talk to people. I'm like Randy, I'm not much on the speaking here. I'm pretty nervous, just to be honest with you. But I do love talking to people. I like being a part of a team. I'm willing to work across the table. Republican, Democrats, you know, it doesn't matter. We're all in this for the same reason. We may have different beliefs on how to get there, but we have the same agenda to get to the end here. I mean, we all want to make this county better.
Vern, I'm going to say it. It's because I'm so good looking. No, I think I'm the best man for the job. I've been magistrate for 4 years, and over this past 4 years, you know, I mean, I've learned a lot. I've gone to trainings over the 4 years. I've met a lot of representatives, a lot of senators. So, you know, I think I've learned a lot about how to balance a budget, how to talk to people. I love talking to the people, but that's the main job of a magistrate is balancing the budget, and you have to have other magistrates that will work with you. And when you vote on something, you have just as much power as the judge. You know, so the judge has no more power than you, you have no more power than the judge. But you have to have somebody that will vote with you, you know. But I would appreciate Charles' vote. Thank you.
Well, before I ever run, I was asked by several people if I would consider running. And I studied on it, thought on it, prayed about it. So one evening, I asked Patsy, I said, what do you think about me running for master? She walked in big eyes around, and big blue eyes that I've saw before. She said, are you crazy? I said, well, maybe a little crazy. But I'm concerned about this county. I love the people. I'm concerned about the children. And I think that I'm a good talker. And I will do the best I can. And when you go vote, I want you to ask yourself, will you vote for me or where you don't, I'll still be your friend. Ask yourself, if we went backward, stayed the same, or we went forward. I believe you'll know the answer. We went backward. Thank you.
Well, for those of you who are saying that you're not comfortable speaking in public, I want to say you're all doing a wonderful job. And I got some good news for you. This will be the final thing. We're going to give you all another 2 minutes to wrap up, say anything that you want to say that we may not have covered, or answer any question in greater detail. And we'll start with Mr. Dolan for this one, your final 2 minutes. So Vernon, that lets you go last just in case you want to keep going.
I don't have much to say. We've covered pretty much all of it. If you vote for me, it's great, but whatever you do, please vote, and vote for the right person, not the old system. It's time to start something different and a new generation. So just vote your hearts, folks.
Well, all I got to say is you vote for me. If I take your money, I'll work for it. I will do my best. I won't just go over once a month and sit down there and holler, yeah, no, you know, I'll do my best and go over to the meetings, go over to the courthouse and find and look things over, do my best, and I'll be a voice for you.
I thought about that right there, and you know, I'm not going to ask you is you've heard us all here tonight, and you'll probably hear. I think there's another debate coming up. All I ask you to do is to think about it as we go from door to door and talk to some of you people. You know, get to know us a little bit better, and go with your gut instinct. A lot of times your gut instinct is the best instinct you got. Go with your heart. The only thing I can say is pray about it. see what you come up with, and if you like to vote for me, I promise you I'll give you everything I've got.
I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight to hear us speak, because it was a beautiful night, and I want to thank y'all for giving it up to come out and hear us talk. But I'll do my best for you guys if y'all give me your vote, and I would appreciate y'all's vote. Thank you very much.
Well, if I am elected, I will be the voice for you. If you have a problem, you come to my house. I'll give you my phone number. I'll give you my address. The directions get there. We'll have a cup of coffee. And if I can't solve your problem, me and you will go to the courthouse. We'll find out why. I'll just not leave you hanging. I want you to know why I can't. But anyway, if you vote for me, I'm honest, truthful, and you can trust me. Thank you.
I think everybody that votes in any race deserves to have people to vote for that are honest and truthful, and it's going to be transparent as possible with everything that they do. It's your county, it's your court. I think you ought to know everything that's going on inside, outside, wherever. If I'm elected, and I understand this has been tried before, but if anything controversial especially is going to come up, like we've had in the last 4 or 5 months, I would want to have time to put out in the paper and advertise and have a meeting with the people in my district so that I could listen, so that they could gripe at me whatever they wanted to, and they could tell me what they thought about all of it, and I'd like to take all that into consideration. Now, I understand that's been tried, and they tell me people won't come out. If they don't come out, it's sort of like not voting. If you don't vote, then you don't have a right to gripe. If you don't come out and tell me, if I'm your representative there, and you don't tell me what's wrong, and you don't tell me what you want to do or what you want me to do, then you don't have the right to gripe.